which is found in your thoracic cavity. So it's found in the thoracic cavity and it's between your lungs. Clear? And the heart is a muscular organ. Its function is to actually provide a force to pump the blood around your body. And the heart is constantly beating. It contracts, it relaxes, contracts, relaxes on an average 72 times per minute in a healthy individual. Clear? At rest. When you exercise, it does work. Your heartbeat rate actually slows down. Okay? Now, the wall of the heart is made up of 3 layers. You have the innermost layer, which actually is in contact with the blood, and that layer is called as the endocardium. Okay, it's a very smooth layer of cells, and you have a layer outside, which we call as the epicardium. And the epicardium is the outer layer of the heart. If you can hold somebody's heart in your hand, you will be touching the epicardium. Is it clear? And it's also a very smooth layer, giving the heart, the actual heart, once you remove all the adipose tissue, the fat yellow mass surrounding the heart, once you remove that, and once the pericardium is removed, so first you remove the pericardium, then you can get to the heart, then you remove the lipids surrounding the heart, and then you will come to a very smooth lining called the epicardium. Clear? And between the epicardium and the endocardium, there's a very muscular layer which we call as the myocardium, which is actually made up of cardiac muscle. And this is the one that contracts. So the endocardium and epicardium are made up of flattened epithelial cells which reduce friction. Friction as the blood flows is reduced. Friction when the heart beats and rubs against the pericardium, which is another membrane surrounding the heart, that reduces friction because it's very smooth layers of cells. But the myocardium is the one which contracts to pump the blood out. So histologically, in terms of tissues, the heart is made up of 3 main layers. In the myocardium, you'll also have some blood capillaries like this, which are supplying blood to the cardiac muscles. So here there'll also be some blood vessels of the coronary circulation, isn't it? Do you get that? And there'll be connective tissue all over. Any part of your body will have connective tissue. So basically, this is what the structure of the heart is. Okay, these are the tissues that you find. Now, if we go on to, the myocardium is the thickest. The epicardium and endocardium are usually made up of single layers of cells, which are very, very thin, epithelial cells actually, which are flattened cells very closely packed to each other and smooth. That's why it gives a glossy look to the outside and the inside of the heart. Is it clear? Now, if we look at the gross structure of the heart, what you will see is, I'll put another slide on. Now this is the external and the internal view. I actually put both of these together so that you can then compare what the heart looks like from the outside and when cut in a cross-sectional view. Okay? Now, let's first label the inside structures because you are more familiar with that, and then we will use that to match the outside of the heart. Now this diagram shows you the same view of the heart, but one is the external and the other is the internal view. Now, let's see and label as many structures as you can recognize. Now, it would always be nice to start with the chambers. And the first thing you need to identify is the 4 chambers that there are. Now, the ventricle, you can identify the left ventricle because the wall is very thick. If you look here, the wall of the left ventricle is quite thick. And that's why this, we are sure now, is the left ventricle. And that's where you should always begin from. Should always begin by identifying the left ventricle because it's the most conspicuous chamber. It's very easy to identify that. Is it clear? Because of the thick walls. And once you know the left ventricle, then you'll know the right ventricle, which is on the other side. Don't go by the logic, that the left ventricle is always shown to your right in the diagram and the right ventricle. That's not always true. Examiners can give you a 180-degree view of the heart. They can turn the heart by 180 degrees and ask you to identify them. And then you'll get it all wrong. Is it clear? So identify the ventricles, the sides of the heart by the thickness, relative thickness of right and left ventricle. You see the right ventricle has much thinner walls. Why? We'll see later. Okay? Then, once you've identified the right and left ventricle, the next one is the atria. So obviously this has to be the left atrium and this has to be the right atrium, isn't it? And now what you'll have is, from the left ventricle, you will have the aorta, which actually carries blood out this way. Clear? And that is the aorta. Then from the right ventricle, you have the pulmonary artery, which is carrying blood out. So this is the pulmonary artery, which carries blood to your lungs. And then this is the vena cava, the superior vena cava, which is bringing blood from the upper parts of your body. So superior vena cava. And this is the inferior vena cava. And then you have, these are the pulmonary veins, one from the right and one from the left side of the heart. Then here you have the septum, which separates the right and the left side of the heart completely, so that oxygenated and deoxygenated blood can never mix. Then you have valves, 4 valves. This valve here in the right side is called the tricuspid valve, and the valve on the left side is called as the bicuspid valve. And then you have 2 more valves. One is in the aorta, which is here, and this valve is the aortic, be specific, the aortic semilunar valve. And the one in the pulmonary artery is the pulmonary semilunar valve. That's this one here. Is that clear? So these are the structures that you can clearly identify from this diagram. This part, which you always associate with love, and you tell everyone you love them from the very bottom of your heart, it's not actually the bottom of your heart, it's called the apex. Because if you lie upside down, it's not going to be the bottom of your heart anymore, but it will always be the apex. Because, this is similar to a triangle, and this peak of the triangle is called the apex. This is called the base. That's why the name. The heart is, you see, somewhat triangular in shape, isn't it? So that's why, since it's the pointed part of the triangle, they call it the apex. Is it clear? Now, let's see what structures we can identify from this one. This is obviously the aorta. I'll label these in red. This is pulmonary artery. Then this is the pulmonary vein. This is the pulmonary vein. Then this is the inferior vena cava. Then you have the superior vena cava. Then you have, this is the other pulmonary artery, isn't it? The right and the left. So this is also the pulmonary artery. This is the right pulmonary artery. The one we've labeled fully is the left pulmonary artery, isn't it? And these are coronary arteries. Is that clear now? Then this is, of course, the apex of the heart, and this is the, see, this region is the right atrium. This is the left atrium. It's very small. Is that clear? Then this is the left ventricle. This is the right. I wrote it wrong. Where? The one on top or the one down? Yes, this is right atrium. This is left atrium. Is it clear now? So these are the structures that you can identify. So both externally and internally, you should be able to label any of these structures which are given to you. Is it clear? Now, there are still some structures which you may need to label. Let's look at this. Now, the structures which we already labeled, I'm not going to label again, but there are some structures here which have not been labeled earlier. For example, this is one structure. This is called the chordae tendinae, which are basically tendons. And this structure here, to which the chordae tendinae are attached, they are called as papillary muscles. And what are the functions? You see, the chordae tendinae, they maintain the tension on the valves and prevent the cusps from flipping over into the atria. No? Is it clear? So they hold the cusps in place. Now what do the papillary muscles do? When the papillary muscles contract to maintain the tension on the chordae tendinae, on the tendon, same thing. Is that clear? Now this is what happens. Then there's still some other structures which you also need to know, and that is the conducting system of the heart. Now I'll just go straight to that. Here's the diagram. Yeah, now here there are some new structures which you can see. This structure here, this dot over here, is something called the sinoatrial node, also called as SAN. And this structure here is called the atrioventricular node, also called as the AVN. Clear? And then this bundle of fibers here is called as the bundle of His, and these branches here which enter the ventricles from the apex is called as the Purkinje fibers, okay, which are spelled usually as Purkinje fibers for the person's name. Is it clear? So these are some of the structures which you need to know. Now, the heart provides the force, isn't it, to pump blood around the body. Now, if you observe the heart, there are two atria and two ventricles, and the right and the left side are completely separated from each other. Now, let's look at some of the other features associated with the heart. Number one these are very small topics that you need to know, but they're all associated here. One is coronary circulation. Now, you know, the heart muscle actually is one of the most hard-working muscles in your body. It's constantly working. Even before you were born, 6 months before you were born, your heart actually started working, and it has never stopped since. I can guarantee you that, okay? Because you're here. Otherwise you wouldn't be here. You would be in the Sahara, okay? Now, the coronary circulation ensures that the cardiac muscle receives a continuous supply of oxygenated blood. It begins, you see, from the left ventricle where there's oxygenated blood. The blood is pumped into the aorta. From the aorta, there's a branch. The coronary artery branches out. And the coronary artery then goes into the cardiac muscle. It gets embedded into the myocardium. Clear? So the coronary artery enters the myocardium, and in the myocardium, the coronary artery will now branch into arterioles. The arterioles will further branch into a capillary network, and now what will happen is, across the walls of the capillaries, there will be formation of tissue fluid, and there will be exchange between the cells and the tissue fluid. Is that clear? So oxygen will be absorbed, carbon dioxide will be released, other waste will be released, whatever is needed, glucose, amino acids will be absorbed. Is it clear? And the blood will then recollect into venules. Venules will then form the coronary veins, and the coronary veins will form the coronary sinus, and the coronary sinus will pour the blood directly into the right atrium. And this blood will be deoxygenated. It must then be sent to the lungs and it will be oxygenated. The purpose of the coronary circulation is to ensure that oxygenated blood is rapidly supplied. This is a very rapid supply, because if the blood has to go right around the body and then to the heart, or to the heart and then right around the body and come back to the heart, it will be too slow. So this is a short circuit. It's a very short circulation which rapidly supplies oxygenated blood to your heart, which is why your cardiac muscles don't tire as easily as any other muscles in your body would, as easily as your skeletal muscles would, because it's receiving a very quick supply of oxygenated blood so that the cardiac muscles don't respire anaerobically. That's the benefit. Is it clear? You must know this pathway. Okay? Then, another aspect of circulation is called double circulation. Now, what is double circulation? See, in double circulation, we literally have two circulatory systems. Okay? So, double circulation means that the circulatory system consists of two components. One component is the systemic circulation. The other is the pulmonary circulation. Now, what does each one do? The systemic circulation, what it does is, I'll quickly draw a very small, simple diagram at the side here. Now, this is the plan of the circulatory system. Clear? This is the right atrium, left atrium, right ventricle, left ventricle. And you can see they're completely separated, the right and the left side, by a line which I'm drawing in yellow, which we call as the septum. And the parts which I'm drawing in green show deoxygenated blood. So from the right ventricle, deoxygenated blood will go to the lungs. Okay? And there the blood will get oxygenated, and the oxygenated blood will flow back to the left atrium. So in red, I'm showing you oxygenated blood. In green, deoxygenated blood. Now this oxygenated blood will be carried by the aorta to other parts of the body. And here you have all the organ systems, isn't it? Other organs apart from the lung. And there, the oxygenated blood will now go into these organs. There, they will lose their oxygen, absorb carbon dioxide, and the blood will get deoxygenated again. And this deoxygenated blood will now come back to the right atrium, and then it will go to the lungs again. Now, the arrows which are discontinuous, clear, are showing you something called the systemic circulation. Clear? That means the blood is pumped to the organ systems. And the arrows which are solid are showing you the pulmonary circulation. So this is pulmonary circulation. Now, these two circulations, why is this important? First thing is that it ensures that oxygenated and deoxygenated blood do not mix, so that the tissues receive a continuous supply of oxygenated blood. Number one. Number two, the left ventricle is very thick, and because of that, the systemic circulation is a very high pressure circulation which pumps blood at high pressure to all parts of the body. The pressure here is around 16 kilopascals in a normal healthy person, whereas the pulmonary circulation is just about 3.6 kilopascal, which is still high but relatively lower. So this is a lower pressure circulation, but I'm not saying it's low. I'm saying it's lower than the systemic circulation. Why? Because here the blood is being pumped by the right ventricle, which has thinner walls. Now, why is this important? I told you the closest thing to your heart is not anyone else but your lungs. And to pump blood to your lungs from your heart, it just needs a slight push. you don't need a great deal of pressure because the blood doesn't have to travel very far. And if the pressure in the pulmonary circulation were as high as in the systemic circulation, excess tissue fluid will form in your lungs, and your lungs will fill up with tissue fluid. We call it pulmonary edema, and you'll actually drown in your own tissue fluid. Do you understand this? That's why double circulation ensures that the pulmonary circulation has a lower pressure than the systemic circulation. Is that clear? So what are the two benefits of double circulation? One, prevents mixing of blood, so that oxygenated and deoxygenated blood do not mix, and tissues receive oxygenated blood. Second point, it ensures that the pulmonary and systemic circulation have different pressures. Pulmonary circulation is a lower pressure circulation, preventing pulmonary edema. The systemic circulation is a high pressure circulation because it must pump blood to all parts of the body, far away from the heart, even up to your head against the force of gravity. So that's why it must be a high pressure circulation. And this ensures that that happens. That is the case. Is that clear now?